Hello there, I'm Daniel Williams, the Managing Director of ChannelGrabber. Today I'm going to show you through the settings page on version 3. I'm just going to log into an account and go to the settings page, and I'm going to work my way through all the settings options. You may have many of these already pre-filled in from your sign-up process, however you should always check them. The legal details on the left and the contact details are only for ChannelGrabber's use. Your customers will not see these details, but they are important to be fully filled in as best as possible. The reason why you need to make sure these details are in correctly is because many of our processes are automated and will require correct information, else things may get lost in the mail. If you're a limited company, you will have to provide us your registration number, again for official documents. The difference between the settings page and the products page is you always have to press save. This kind of reaffirms the changes that you've made. On the contact details, these are the details of the person that we may need to get in contact with regarding your account. You shouldn't really give us any sales lines or general inquiry lines unless they can put us through to the person that we may need to speak to regarding billing or usage of ChannelGrabber. Once these settings are set up, you then move on to what your customers will actually get to see. For the purposes of this, I'm not going to enter in full details for trading, but I will set up a couple of companies so that I can show you how these fit in with your other settings. Many of our customers trade under different names, some even using up to 10 different companies and eBay and Amazon accounts all interlinked. I'm just going to create two companies, one called Acme Tools and one of them called Acme Toys. You can enter in all the information here, such as website, phone number and address. Again, these are for your customers, but I'm not going to enter all of these in. I'm just going to create the companies. The tax settings are if you are VAT registered in Europe, or if you need to use tax for general sales tax, say in America, or various different states may have their different rates as well. In here I've just set it up for VAT, that's a standard one, and if I just add in the rates that I actually use for my VAT. I can also set which one that I like to be default, so if all my items I sell are standard rated, however a few of them perhaps may be 0 rated, you can add that in here. Again, make sure you click save after any change. Moving on to things like Invoice Designer. The Invoice Designer is regarding orders that come into ChannelGrabber and then printing out the invoices to send to your customers or to email to your customers. So it's all done here. There are a few preset ones here that are set with certain integrated label sizes. However, you can create any that you like using any sizes in HTML code. Here I'm just going to create a very basic one just to show you how this actually works. As you can see down here, it just gives me a blank page to start writing. And if you know a bit of HTML, you can do many of these yourself. There is a full guide to how to do this. If you click up here where it says click me, it'll take you through to our support desk, which will give you all the different tags that you may need and even explain what a tag is. The tag is how you take information dynamically from orders and place it into a design. So here, as you can see, I've given it a title of invoice, but I may want to give an order number. So to do the order number, you would then need to enter in the tag that relates to it. Once you've done this, make sure to save it, and you can even give it a little preview to see how it's going to come out and look. As you can see here, it's put in invoice in the H1 tags, and it's also put in an order number. This will change regarding on whichever order comes into your system. There are lots of different tags to use, and this is actually quite technical. We offer services to do this for you. If you'd like us to create the invoicing for you to your branding, then send an email to sales@channelgrabber.com. You can, however, use any freelancer or outside person to create the HTML invoice for you and plonk it straight in here. Moving on to the settings page, this is where you actually decide which trading company uses different invoices. So this is how the branding side of it comes in. As you can see, I created webinar test. Now the webinar test one I only want to use for my Acme Toys account, and for my Acme Tools account I'd like to use the standard integrated label C. I've also set up a default invoice here in case I don't want to set up for each individual trading account. This option here where it's selected as integrated label style C and this one where it's blank will create the exact same result, because this default invoice template here will go for all of the unselected trading details. There are a couple of extra details regarding your company that you may want to set up, however you may not. The locations on the picking list here are what will show up for your products in deciding where they're all positioned. So for example, you may want to just put in locator name 1 as warehouse and locator name 2 as shelf. This will change in ChannelGrabber in the product section, where you can then write in warehouse 1, shelf 2. Again, your customers will not see any of these details, and it's for your management of the company. For those of you that use version 2 of ChannelGrabber, we've kept in the version 2 export for orders if you come in here and select. The difference between the version 2 and version 3 order export is the version 3 is a lot cleverer and is more correct. For example, in version 2, if you had shipping and you had 2 items that came through, both of those items would show the same shipping amount, which meant when you added them all up, the shipping would be incorrect. However, in the newer version, it will only add the shipping to the first item in the order, therefore giving more correct values. There are many other improvements to this, and we do suggest using version 3. However, we do understand that with people using version 2 for quite a long period of time, they may have come up with their own processes to deal with it. After you set up your company, you can then set up your marketplaces. For the purposes of this, I've selected one of each. The Amazon is a very simple one to add in. All you need to do is give it a display name. The display name that you pick here will show up across ChannelGrabber in place of this Amazon account. So I may want to call this Acme Tools Amazon. And this means when it comes down to anything within ChannelGrabber where it's referring to an order coming from this place or any products that are listed onto this marketplace, then it will display Acme Tools Amazon instead. The merchant ID here is one that you're given when you go through the process with Amazon. If you use that sign up process, it'll automatically fill in this for you. The only times that you should ever have to change the merchant ID here is if Amazon or ChannelGrabber tell you, otherwise they should always remain the same. You can now set up the trading company that refers to this particular marketplace account. So if I select Acme Tools, as you can see, this is all tied in. It means that any order that comes in from Acme Tools Amazon will also have the Acme Tools company details attached to it, and also the Acme Tools branding. If I move on to Amazon, onto eBay accounts, there's a lot more here to actually add in. So you have your account section up here, where again you give it your display name, and for this one I'm going to choose my Acme Toys eBay. You can enter in a PayPal email address that's specific for this account. And then again you can select the trading company that relates to the account. These are specifically for accounts. For eBay as a whole, you need to enter in the details here. So location sending from. Now I do know some people have put in postcodes here. Some people have even put in countries. They've put in loads of different things. One person even put in shop. So it goes to show people just put whatever they want in here, but it is required. And one of the common errors that you'll get when you try and submit an eBay listing is that it will say item location invalid, and what it's referring to is this specific box here. You need to put in where you're sending an item from. You can also put a dispatch days here, default dispatch days. You can change this individually on the products as well, and default returns policy. For many of your products you may have the exact same return policy, but you may also sell second-hand items that have a different returns policy, and that's okay because you can change it whenever you create a listing to override the default returns policy as well. The default payment options here are ones that will default be checked on all your listings. You'll still have again a choice to uncheck them within the listing. So if I was to select PayPal and cash on delivery, but I was selling an item that was extremely large, and for that particular item I only wanted to take cash on delivery, then I can do that just by unchecking the PayPal on the actual listing. You also need to fetch your store categories from eBay whenever you make changes on them and import them into ChannelGrabber. You'll have to do this the first time that you use ChannelGrabber unless you've gone through the new setup process that will do it for you. Again, click Save whenever you've made any changes to any of your settings. The PlayTrade account is slightly different again, but it's very similar in certain regards. You choose your display name here, so Acme Tools Play. And then you have two boxes here. So you have your username and password, and the reason you have to enter in your username and password for your PlayTrade account is that every time we send a request to Play, we have to provide them with your username and password. We fully encrypt these details on our system. They are not used by anyone else, and they're not even known to anyone else. The only person that has the decryption key on them is the operations director, no one else. It means that your information is completely safe on our system, and only the computer can understand how to decode it. Again, just select your trading company associated. That's all the marketplace is set up. That should be all that you need to actually do there. So I'm going to move on and show you the shipping settings. On the shipping settings, you'll see that you can add new shipping mapping. Now what this means is it will show all of the shipping that you currently use on your account and allow you to give it a name. This allows you to make everything look neater and more understandable. So for example, you may have a first class and you may have a second class shipping method, and these boxes may have multiple options in them. So for example, here I only have two, but if I select expedited and second class, that will then map them to the first class. Any orders that come in with those shipping methods will be attached to first class. However, that's not how I want to do it this time, and I'll choose the separate ones. So it doesn't matter how many different shipping methods you use, how many different web stores you use, or how many different marketplaces you use, all with different shipping methods, you can still map them to the shipping that you use and how you know it by. You'll also need to set these up if you're going to use PPI. Onto PPI. Again, you just need to enter in whatever you want your license number to be. Obviously it has to be a legitimate one. You then choose whether or not you want English or Welsh, and then you can choose the size in which you want your PPI to come out as. You'll also need to decide whether or not you want first, second or mail sort associated with your mapped shipping. So here I'm just going to map in these two. Again, click Save. Now the reason that this is so good is because of this little tag up here called PPI. Now this allows you to add this into any invoicing or label printing that you may want to do, and it will fully automate to the order that you've actually received in. I'm going to pop back just to the invoice designer to show you how this actually works. If I load my webinar invoice up here, and then up by the invoice title, I want to add in the PPI image. I just need to write in the PPI tag. If I save this and then preview it, you'll see it's inserted the raw mail PPI image where I've told it to go, and you can place that wherever you like. This will automatically change depending on your orders. So once you've mapped your shipping, mapped your PPI up, it'll automatically change for every single one of your orders, and you do not need to work out which ones to do. You don't have to do any kind of interaction. It's fully automated. These are usually my favorite parts of the system because the whole point of ChannelGrabber is to automate as much as possible, and this is perfect at it. Without giving you too much of a sales spiel, it has been said that this is the very best way that many e-commerce experts have seen PPI being handled within a system. I'm not going to show you through all the different web store settings. Instead, what we'll do is we'll do a print screen of each one of them and put them up on our help desk. The reason is we support so many different web stores that a webinar on it would be pointless. Generally, it has a very similar information layout to the marketplaces. We also have templates here for eBay listing templates. You don't have any of these preset at the moment. We're thinking about adding in some later on. However, what you can do is you can add in any that you've had created from a third-party company like Fruition. They will design it so that it looks really nice, it improves your sales, but most importantly, it'll automatically put in the information into the places that it requires. So, for example, if I choose webinar test here and then add this in, the design can go into the HTML box below, and it will work in the same way invoices work. So for example, if I was to choose image 1, it would put whatever image is stored for this particular listing in that space there. If I was to put description, again, it will then replace that tag with whatever the description is for that product automatically. The reason why this is such a good way of doing it is it fully automates it. It's future compatible for whenever you want to change your design en masse instead of having to go in and change individual listings. And also it allows for much better data that can be used across multiple different marketplaces and web stores by keeping the data clean. As you probably know, eBay are one of the only people that allow HTML to be used within your listings. This may change, but that's how it is at the moment. HTML cannot be used in web stores and other marketplaces, so by having plain text that you can then place into HTML code for eBay means you get the best possible result from eBay while still using a correct format for all of your information. That's all the standard options that you'd really have. We're working on a few extra now, which I'm going to show you. There's an advanced one here, which is where you set up email accounts and FTP accounts. This is for when you send automated emails for our system for orders that come in, or if you want to email off your daily orders to an address, or if you need to place your orders to an FPT location. The reason you may want to do that is for people that use fulfillment companies. So if I set up an account here, I'm not going to go through all the details because this is quite technical. I'm just going to create an email account here. As you can see, all these details are in, and that's done. This email address can then be used later on for the other options. This means that whenever you send out an email, it won't say from ChannelGrabber or anything like that. It will say your company, so you're fully attuning it to your company. With FTP accounts, this is even more in depth, and to be honest, probably even a little bit above me. So if you definitely get in contact with our tech support department if you need some help with this. However, the people that are going to best be able to help you with this are your hosting companies or the company that you use for your fulfillment. So speak to them first, as they'll probably be the best people to speak to. However, if you do have difficulty, get in touch with us and we will help you. Once I've set up these FTP accounts in the email account, I can then use them. So if I go and create an email here, you can just select one of your templates that you've pre-made, and if you haven't, you can create one. So here I may want to call this one New Order. And again, this works in exactly the same way as your invoicing does with tags. So the template subject here, you may want to put in order ID, which will then place the order ID into this section. Apologies, my typing's going a bit bad there. Okay, so order ID, new order. So this is what the title subject will be for the email that goes through to people. Below here, again, you can stylize it towards that person. So by using tags, you can say thank you for your order, and then you could put in their first name. These tags aren't necessarily correct, and definitely check out our help desk for the full range of tags that you can use. But this is how you format an email that will be specific to that person and will automatically send out whenever a new order is placed. You can add in things like tracking details as well if you've got a courier service integrated with us, or if you add tracking numbers afterwards. So the whole process can be fully automated to just keep your customers in the loop, which can reduce on admin work and also keep your customers even happier. If I go onto the email rules, this is where you actually decide where to use it. So if I create a new rule here, I can say when the order status is new, I'd like to send my new order, I'd like to send it from, and then you can select wherever you've set up your trading details with actual accounts. Because I've not got any orders through for this particular account, it won't show up here. But I can also select via, and then I select which email address I actually want to use here. So that's fully set up, this rule. If I switch it on, now what will happen is whenever an order comes in that's new, it will send them my new order email address, and it will send it from my email account. And it'll only ever do this on status change. So when an order is first brought into ChannelGrabber, if it has new, it will send out the new one, but it will not keep on sending it out. What will then happen is when the order status is then changed, for example, to dispatched, it will then initiate a check on your rules to see if you want to send out an email for that as well. There is an additional cost for scheduling these emails, but it's going to be very low. We haven't actually set the price on it, but it's probably going to be between £10 and £20. It's going to be a one-off fee, and the reason why we do this is because to automate this whole process is quite a lot of work and it's quite a lot of strain on the servers. So a little fee for getting a huge amount of automation we feel is quite fair. Moving on to the order export. Here it gets a bit more complex. For those of you that use fulfillment companies, you'll probably understand the importance of this. You first of all select what date you want the first rule to actually work on. So here I've just selected the 31st of the 3rd, and I want it to generate my daily orders. I want it to do this every single day. I want it to do it at 1500 hours. I want it to send via FTP using these FTP details, and I want it to use XML. You can also choose between XML and CSV. So straight away I've now set up this rule, switched it on, and now every single day at 3 o'clock it will send out those orders and update them to your fulfillment company. Again, there's going to be a small fee for that as well, but it works on the same premise as the emails does. And that's everything to do with your settings. As more things become available, we'll update the guide on it. However, thank you very much and good day.